Welcome to the Thrivers Conversation with Aaron T. Aaron. Today's guest is Aisha Yesufu. This will be a 7-part edition. This is part 7 of 7. Aaron T. Aaron and Aisha will be having a conversation today around courage and womanhood. Ladies and gentlemen, Aaron T. Aaron and Aisha Yesufu.
All right,
Yeah.
indulge me. I feel like I have to ask you every question in the world. I don't know when I'm going to get you again. So guys, indulge me. We've never had 2 hours before, but Aisha is a record breaker and everything. But before I ask my next question, is there a subject you don't know anything about? Because you're so widely knowledgeable. Is there anything? And this is why I wanted you to come here, because when everybody talks to you, talks about Aisha and only see her in the activism, I'm like, you people don't know who Aisha means. Aisha, for me, Aisha is actually a businesswoman, first of all, before any of that. But is there something you don't know about? You've talked about relationship, sex, family, parenting, business, property,
technology. I'm poor when it comes to technology. I'm very poor when it comes to tech. Thing. So I'm trying to learn. I try to learn and but you see, one of the things is that one of the beauty of that comes from reading novels.
Yeah.
So when you read a lot of these novels and books, so there are so many things that are being touched upon. Even though I'm one person who I don't listen to news or what radio, TV, read newspapers. And I always say to people, if not for the fact that I read books, I would have been so unintelligent. I would have been so unknowledgeable and everything. But I think for me, it's just reading quite a number of novels and also books. I really read books, even though now I'm beating myself up because I'm not reading as I used to before, because I think social media is taking away so much of that. But growing up, I read so much, and I sort of like have this retentive memory. And if I read something, it just somehow stays in there. But there are quite a number of things that I really don't know about. But one of the things about that I love to learn. And let me tell you, I'm never ashamed of saying I don't know. So if there's something now, I'm like, and I love so much. I learn from anybody and everybody. I'm always learning in everything I find myself. Like, what are the things that I can learn from this? And I tell you, my children have also been so much of my teachers. Recently, I think about a few months ago, I learned about pink tax. I didn't know what was pink tax, and I learned it from my daughter. Things like body shaming, I learned that from my daughter and from my children. And so these are some of the things that, growing up, we didn't see it as anything. I mean, it was normal. You know, you call somebody, fatty bobo, this time you're so, all of that. And it's my child saying to me, no, mommy, that's body shaming. You can't do that. And because I'm open to learning, and I think that's why a lot of people miss out. For me, I love to learn, and I always love to say I don't know something, because when I say I don't know, I open myself to learning. And as of that time, you are transferring that knowledge to me, and I get hold of it. You can't take it back again. And so even when I was in secondary school, when I had changed my school, I couldn't speak English when I started private. When I was in government school, I had to come down a class down, step down, and I started private school. I couldn't speak English. They made fun of me. And so that's why even today, because of the fact that I grew up, and then I grew up, we didn't have television. I couldn't watch a lot of, movies and all of that. That's where you learn how to pronounce a lot of words. There are so many words that my writing is actually better than my speaking that I don't know. So what I just do is I avoid those words. And even sometimes it's my children that will always say, oh, mommy, they make fun of me. I'm like, oh, mommy, what are you saying? And they teach me how to do it. So for me, after the whole laughter, I remember in secondary school, I would say to them, okay, you finish laughing. Can you now tell me the right way to pronounce this? Can you tell me? And then the moment I learn it, that's it. By the time I was in SS1, I was the best student in English. So I love to learn. So maybe that's why I seem to have a touch in different.
No matter what happens, this conversation is not going to go past 10. Indulge me quickly. Do you think men have it easy compared to women?
No, men don't have it easy.
Okay.
The only thing that men have is
because
that,
you hear a lot of women say that, so it will be good to hear.
No.
Yeah.
No. They don't. So let me give you an example of what happened with ENDSARS.
Yep.
With ENDSARS, a lot of men are being abused. Men are the victim of SARS. But we didn't get to hear a lot of them. Because why? Men are told to shut up. Men are told to chin up. Men are told not to cry. They are told, oh, are you not a man? And that's unfair. Even men, too, it goes both ways. The only place that men have advantage over women is the fact that it's the patriarchal society where they are allowed to do certain things and women are more not allowed to do certain things. But it doesn't mean that men have it easy. Let me give you an example. There are a lot of men who are sort of like feminine in the way they do things. And they are shamed from doing that. Why are you behaving like a woman rapper and all of that? And they are made to show that men are being abused in their relationship. But they are shamed from speaking about those abuses. They make fun of them. Where a woman will get sympathy because she's being abused in a relationship. A man is being abused in that relationship, but instead of getting sympathy, he actually gets so you see that what happens now. I know a particular word, but I don't know how to pronounce it, and I'm stuck. Yeah, so I will always spell it DERISON to pronounce it the way. And I always say to people, look, I'm not ashamed of the fact. I always tell you there are some words that I don't know how to pronounce in English based on where I'm coming from. So instead of them to have sympathy, they are actually maligned. They are mocked. They are made to feel ashamed. So they don't have it as easy as women as we tend to think, because we are looking at it. Oh, it's a patriarchal society where this happens and that happens. No, but so I don't believe that men have it easy. There are so many things also where they are feeling the effect of being abused. They are not allowed to actually own themselves. So a man who is not like macho or whatever is always shamed. It's always seen as if, so it's almost as if you must be that toxicity. Oh, why are you behaving like a woman? Why are you doing this? But that's who he is. He's not the kind of one that wants to be all over the place, lording it over people, but they are being shamed from speaking. And then also the women have the woman card to use. The man doesn't have the man card to use. So you cannot come and say, oh, it's because of I'm a man, that's why I was denied this. But a woman can easily come and say, oh, it's because I'm a woman, I didn't get it. I always say to them, no, please, it's not because you're a woman. Just go back and keep trying. You failed the first time. For example, let's say, for example, a man and a woman run for election, right? And they both don't lose out. The woman will easily say, oh, it's because I'm a woman that I did not win. They did not allow me to win. And she gives up. But a man doesn't have that. And so what happens? He either goes in and continue fighting to get it until he gets it and all of that. Why the woman? That's why earlier on, if you realize, I said to women, ensure you don't use the woman card. I don't fail at something and say it's because I'm a woman that I didn't get it. Yep. No, it's because I made one mistake. So I'm going to sit down and say, what did I do right? What did I do wrong? And so learn from it and go on and go better. So women have that, and men don't have that. And also sometimes in families, for example, when it comes to being cared for, women have somebody that, and it can be an advantage and a disadvantage, because they always have, somebody else will take care of their problem. So you're brought up that there will be a knight in shining armor. I have a daughter, I have a son and a daughter, and I didn't bring any of them up to believe there's a knight in shining armor. I never, ever, ever told my daughter that, there's going to be a man that will take care of her. Never. I brought her up knowing that she is the one that will take care of herself, her finances, in charge of her finances and everything. She's working, doing her thing the way, not that there's ever going to be a man. So a men are brought up with this, so much pressure. They have to do this. They have to take care of this. They have to take care of another person. So you see people coming into a relationship with a sense of entitlement that the man is supposed to take care of you. No, you're supposed to take care of yourself.
Yeah.
Come into a relationship, or not that you're putting a burden on him that, he has to be the one to take care of your needs. I mean, you find some people as ridiculous as I did a show one time. I think Wealth is a Woman. That was when we're doing our talk, Wealth is a Woman. And then somebody was telling me about her friend, a student who broke up with the boyfriend because he didn't give her 3,000 naira to buy something. And I like, what happened to her earning her own money and having her own 3,000 naira? Why should the burden of any 3,000 naira, giving you 3,000 naira be on your mind because he's your boyfriend? No, that shouldn't happen. That is a burden that shouldn't be allowed to happen. And I think that also needs to be stopped. So it's not, nobody is having it easy, really. But it's just that, yes, there's a bit of slight advantage in terms of patriarchy, where some of the things are being allowed. For example, a woman wants to run for office, she's told that, oh, you can't do this because you're a woman and all of that. Men really don't have as much of that, they being put down, but they are not having it easy.
This is so good. You're so good. So by observation, this is in the wider world now, we begin to see that the countries that are led by women, especially with regard to COVID, they had a good control and low rates of COVID casualties and infection rates. And when you just see the madness even going on in America, do you feel, do you think it's time for men to move over to let women lead more and reduce this nonsense rate of bad governance we're seeing in the world?
Absolutely. I totally believe in that, because at the rate at which we are going, you cannot survive by using 50% of yourself. It's just like a human being with two legs deciding to walk with one leg. I mean, things are not going to be the way they should be, because that's exactly what we are doing right now. We're only using 50% of ourselves when we push women aside. And even in houses and things like that, in our homes, it's mostly the women that are always in charge. Forget that thing that they say the man is the head of the family. That one are by mouth. I had a young couple that came to visit me yesterday, and I was just trying to talk to them. I said, look, there are some things that the woman is really the one that is in charge of the house. There are some things that, and I've learned early on that I'll just tell you this is what needs to be done. I will just sow the seed and move on. Sometimes it will take. Let me just give this example. Now let me digress. Yesterday, was it yesterday or the day before yesterday? My husband entered the kitchen and he was like, "Oh, we need. I will need to change this top and then put marble top on this." And I was just like this, looking at him. Over the years, I've learned something. When I came back from UK, I was saying to him that, oh, I don't like the way my table, the kitchen top was looking.
So you had to be.
And he was like, no, what is wrong with it? Is this not good enough? Blah, 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 blah. I just left it. What I knew is that I had sown that seed. So sometimes it takes him a month, a week. Some will be years, some will be like 10 years, some will like 3 years, 5 years before what you wanted to do is done. But I know that at the end of the day, all I need to do is that I will allow you own the ownership.
Yeah.
Nobody cares. So I don't care who is getting credit.
Doesn't matter how you get what you want, right? As long as you get what you want.
Exactly. Yep. So how he came doesn't concern me. So I know that. So I was like, I was listening to him. This is something that I said when I came back to Nigeria in September. And so this is November. You are not coming into the kitchen and you are owning it. I'm like, okay, keep owning it. So in terms of leadership of the house, it's really women that do that. And then women are good at multitasking, because we're brought up in such a way that we're doing so many things at the same time. Even as a mother or as a wife and mother, there's so many things so they're very good at that. And there's this leadership needs empathy. It needs that empathetic. Any leader that, and I think even in Nigeria, I can say to Nigeria, you are calling politicians to come and rule, to come and be in office when they've never cared for you when you are being killed, when injustice is being meted on you. So how will they care for you when they get there? So leadership needs empathy. So when you are able to have the empathetic leadership, it works better, and you find out that things are being done more. And it doesn't mean that there aren't men that are good or women that are good, but in a way, our research has shown a lot that when more women are in governance, there tends to be good governance given and that accountability. And women are not easily swayed. They can be a bit, focus on the issue, not just because I'm a woman, but just for me, I'm very objective when it comes to things. I don't have any loyalty to whether any gender or trying to hold on to. No, things have to be said the way they are, good or bad. I have the capacity to look at myself and say, Aisha, this is where you are not doing right and whatever. So for me, it's not a gender war. It's just looking at the issues the way. And then when it comes to sacrifice and doing things not for the money. Women do that more. Even if you look at schools, for example, all of these parents teachers association or any voluntary something that needs to be done in children's, it's mostly women that are there. It's mostly women that are in the leadership position, PTA presidents and all of that. It's mostly women. It's when you now come to issue that there is money, you find out that they are pushed aside and they go to somewhere. But I think leadership in terms of having women in office, at the end of the day, it's for the good of everyone. But there's one thing that always, and I forgot to mention this, and I think I'm going to add this, that women always fall victim of is the fact that they tend to take on, when one woman does something, it's as if they want to rub it all over all women. And I said to women, don't ever allow that. You are not a woman, you are you. Now, we deal women, this is what you do. You accept it. No, what about you men? Is that what you do? So don't ever accept when they want to lump, they sometimes want to lump women together and like, oh, women are like this. No, women are not like this. Aisha is like this. Mary is like that. Rose is like that. Hawaii is like this. That's how we are all different people. So don't just
individuals.
we're individuals. Don't just stop because the crime of one woman is made to affect every other person. For example, in Nigeria, they will say to you that, oh, you know, how would they make if they put women in leadership position? What's this woman's name that was our former minister of petroleum, Desiani? And then they will come and say, oh, Desiani did A and B. I always say to them, for every one Desiani, there are thousands of Dasuki, and that didn't stop men from running for office. So let Desianis, whatever, it should not be used to judge every other woman. The same way you didn't use Dasuki to judge every other man.
So how do you think we can, just to try and close this up, how do you think men and women or men can work closely and productively with women in a male-dominated society like we see all around the world?
By not seeing each other as competition and by having mutual respect for each other. And I think the biggest thing comes from the fact that I had a conversation with my son one time. Maybe I will try and look for that. I had it on my YouTube. I probably will send it to you and share it with. So on the International Youth Day, I had a conversation with my children. And I asked my son, why do you think men have this patriarchal, I call it patriarchal arrogance, where even in spiritual matters, a man thinks that, oh, he's exempted. For example, they'll be like, oh, a woman, you have to be a virgin when you get married. I'm like, what about you as a man? Don't you have to be a virgin too? Nobody owes you virginity. It's everybody's business. Whether she's a virgin or it's not a virgin, it's her business with her creator. It's not her business with you. The same way. So this arrogance where they think that, oh, they are exempted, oh, they can commit, the same sin. And as a man, it's the woman's, that's where the focus is. And I was asking him and he said, oh, it's because they've not washed plates. I know we laughed over that. It was like, oh, if you wash plates, and because I brought up my children to know that nobody is more than the other one. They are all the same human beings and they had the same opportunity and did their own thing. So if we don't see ourselves as competition and then there's mutual respect, then people will be able to work together. Because what you have really is that there's no respect. Yeah. A woman is talking, you just shut her down. And then you find out that some women, because they just go, I'm the kind of person you can't shut me down. Yeah, boss, how you want to happen now? Wait happen. I want to talk. You know what I mean? We don't go talk with that one now. So because there are a lot of people, when they immediately, and some people actually do it without knowing.
Yeah.
It's not that, it's already, yes, they've been programmed and been conditioned to behave in that manner. Because even in their houses, they were allowed to all of these excesses. So they just think it's normal. Sometimes it's when you actually point their attention to it that they realize, oh, sorry, I didn't know this was what I was doing. So it's all about, first of all, seeing the other person with respect and knowing that they have a right the same way you have a right. For me, that's the way I always look at people in whatever situation, that the rights I have is the same right that you have. And so because of that, I have to learn how to listen and be there and do something. Let me give you an example. I had been at a program, at a webinar, And then other people were being introduced, male were being introduced. And then when he got to the female, and it was something to do with, sexual abuse kind of, I can't remember it precisely, but on that note. And then he was talking about, and then he was like, oh, the beautiful, the whatever, which in its own sense doesn't mean anything. Then I said to him, that's wrong. Why did it that when you got to her, it became about her physical attributes? Why didn't you introduce the male as the handsome Mr. So and so and so? Why did it get to the woman and it now turned to the beautiful, the elegant? You see, at that moment, that's exactly what you're doing. You're objectifying her. Wow. And that in its way, it's wrong without knowing. And so whether he was not like, oh yeah, it's true that he never thought about it that way. From there on, he will take it. So these are certain things that we do with unconsciously, because we've been, like you did say, we've been programmed, we've been conditioned.
Sorry, I have to interrupt you though, but it's somehow that's also women are partly responsible for that, because women have been, in my own opinion, they've been told that that is how you have to talk to them. So it almost is, it's a conditioning, it's a programming, like we're the weaker vessel, so we must treat us this way. So to the man, even though there's a programming going there, you feel like if you don't say those things, the woman won't find herself. So yeah, women were about words and things like that. And it's through that programming. Don't you think it's through that programming that men begin to objectify women?
So yeah, it goes either way. So sometimes abuses are allowed because some people allow room for abuse. I need to hear some words. My husband calls me the beautiful one, but I don't expect any other person to call me the beautiful. Are you okay?
Wow.
What's my beautiful to do with this?
Okay.
You understand? So I need to hear certain compliments from certain people. I remember the other day there was an uproar on Twitter because a lady had posted that her driver called her sexy. And I said, that's so inappropriate. What's your business with and then when she said that, and people were like, oh, what's the big deal? And there's a lot of big deal. There are certain people I want to hear them tell me how beautiful I am. My husband, for one, calls me the beautiful one and all of that. But I don't expect that when I'm coming to a program, you're talking about my beauty, because my beauty is none of your business. It's what I'm bringing to the table, and that has to do with my intellect. And so sometimes people, like, for example, I wear the hijab, and there are a lot of people who feel like, oh, why are you wearing the hijab? Or maybe when I'm doing something and I'm doing, I carry dreadlocks, and like, oh, why are you doing your hair? Nobody is going to see it anyway. I'm like, I'm not doing it for anybody. I'm doing it for myself. And I'm happy with what it's under my hijab. But they can't understand. And I always like, when I want people, when I'm relating with anybody, relate with my intellect. It's not about whether I'm big, I'm fat, I'm thin, and whatever. That's not anybody's business. But of course, it's that upbringing, of course. That's why when girls are going, oh, fine girl, beautiful girl, you hardly ever see them telling a boy, handsome boy, and all of that. Right from childhood, they started objectifying the time. So don't come and be calling my daughter a beautiful girl. It's none of your business. That's her business. Relate to that the way so you shouldn't come and start objecting. That's where all of this starts. And then she grows up thinking that she has to hear this. So when she doesn't hear them, it becomes an issue. She doesn't feel complete. And that's where she's looking for validation. But then her dad needs to tell her that. My husband tells his daughter how much she's a queen, how much she's a princess, how much she's so beautiful, how she's this, how she's that. I expect him to give her that validation. And she, of course, knows she's this and how she wants to be that millionaire, that billionaire, and everything. But it's not for someone else to come and start objectifying her. And then she carries that on from childhood and begin to grow up. It's all about, I want relate with her at her intellectual level. This is what she's bringing to the table. So it doesn't matter whether she has long hair, short hair, bow leg, whatever it is that needs to happen. That's the way.
So we'll end with this last question, just because you're in the face of it. ENDSARS, what is next and what can be expected? What is the movement there?
What is next is that as the Nigerian youth have woken up and they're not going back to their state. They say a mind once educated is stretched and cannot go back to its uneducated state. So the same thing about a voice that has been awakening cannot be taken back to its sleepy stage again. And so we're seeing more of that voice being used. We're seeing more of the Nigerian youth are not giving up. We saw what is happening with them, even taking on the corporate world, where they're calling for boycott of Access Bank and what they're doing. So that's great. So what next, of course, is to fix politics, is for them to focus on ensuring that their voices are heard, not just in protest, but also in ensuring the people who go into office, because at the end of the day, all of these things are happening because of bad governance. And so there already are quite a number of people who are interested in the fact that what happens during election, how can they get the right people into office? And for those in diaspora, the Nigerians in diaspora must begin to work towards ensuring that they are part of the political power. You cannot be such big economic player, and then when it comes to politics, those Nigerians in diaspora are powerless. Nigerians in diaspora are contributing almost 4% of the GDP. They are contributing between 20 to 24 billion dollars per annum, remitting it back to Nigeria. That's huge. Yeah. That's an economic power. That's super. Yet you come to politics, then they don't have any power, and there are over 10 million Nigerians in diaspora, and these are Nigerians that are known. These are Nigerians that they have their identity. If there's any Nigeria that has more identity, the Nigerians in diaspora, some of us and most of us don't even have ID cards and whatever. So they are known, they are educated, they don't have any poverty that can be weaponized. They can't give them 5,000 naira to buy their vote. They can't intimidate them with talks. With military and police, and they can make a difference. And they have a huge power of a circle of influence where they can talk to the people back home that they are sending money to and influence their votes. The Nigerian president in 2015 won with about 15 million votes. So imagine the power that the Nigerians in diaspora have, and which is not being utilized. And that's one of the things that needs to be put forth. And then hopefully the Nigerians in diaspora begin to work towards that. But ENDSARS, of course, one of the things is that they're not keeping quiet. Their voices have been awakening, and they're awakened, and they're looking at politics and how they can ensure that they begin to have a say politically and ensure that the right people are getting into office. Somebody is asking, how do we lobby for Nigerians in diaspora? Is to begin to use the associations that you have out there, is to begin to ensure that use the power that you have. If you have to say, okay, if we don't come in here, we're not going to send in remit money back, then let that be done. There has to be tough law. We cannot have people be voting in all sorts of people, and then you have to be the one to carry the problems. There are a lot of associations that need to be used, and they need to use that power. APC government promised Nigerians in diaspora that they were going to allow them to start voting. They were going to work on them, and it's already 5 years and they haven't done that. And it is time for the Nigerians in diaspora to come together and ensure that that happens.
Wow, Aisha, I want to say a big thank you. Everybody, can we just show Aisha some love? Please receive some love from us. Thrivers community, you know how we do every Monday. Can we all just say a big, big thank you? I'm not going to let you go until you receive some love as much as you have given out. Can we all extend gratitude to Aisha?
They are sleeping.
No, they're here. They're here. Been so amazing, so amazing. Let's use words. Aisha loves words. Let's use words. Aisha has been so gracious to us today. She's come and added so much value to us. 2.5 hours, almost 3 hours. We've never done it here on the Thrivers Group. Aisha, thank you. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. I won't disturb you for another year at least. We really do appreciate you. Thank you so much for coming to add value. And from us, we celebrate your husband and celebrate your wife, and we celebrate your children, and we celebrate all that you are doing in Nigeria, and just giving freedom to young people, and giving freedom to women, and giving freedom to people at large. This has been your role model. This has been a masterclass in so many ways. And business, finance, everything. You've given so much of yourself, and we bless you. We know that God will take care of you and protect you. Thank you so much for being a blessing to our world. We appreciate you. Everybody,
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, guys. Next week, I've got another friend coming in. We're going to be discussing mental health next week. So, guys, get all your friends in the Thrivers group. Here we come and learn and grow together. Good night, everybody. Bye.